Let's bring in Justin Bassi, who is the Executive Director of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Hello there. Did this come as any surprise to you, or was it expected?
I think we shouldn't be surprised, seeing as though we can all see the trends of global instability. I think, unfortunately, Lorna, it means that ASIO and the government have assessed that instead of the current global instability that we have, whether it be war in Europe, war in the Middle East, likely to dissipate over the next year or two, it's only likely to become more unstable. And so this is ASIO, our security agency, getting on the front foot to ensure that the public are informed of those increasing threats.
Justin, you say global insecurities, instabilities. Are individual countries, though, feeling the instabilities under the same guises? Are they the same issues and the same problems that all countries have, or does Australia have unique ones?
I think what seems to be different now in 2024 to when the terror threat level was raised in 2014 is the diversity of the threats, Lorna. In 2014, we really were up against Islamist terrorism as the key national security threat. Fast forward 10 years, 2024, we're seeing a multitude of threats. Islamist terrorism still exists, but so too does politically motivated violence across the full spectrum. And that's what we've seen today from the press conference from the Director-General of Security, saying that there is politically motivated violence, an increase in the threat from politically motivated violence that is making ASIO's job harder. And I think countries around the world are now recognising again that they can't isolate themselves. We can't just look, particularly from an Australian perspective, we can't just see ourselves as geographically distant from Europe and the Middle East and hope that nothing will go wrong. We are impacted by that global instability, and we are all facing, all countries across the world are facing a rise in a full range of issues.
Yeah, I want to talk about the full range of issues. You'll have heard the Prime Minister and the boss of ASIO saying that their particular concern is young men, and it is the sharing of ideologies. How diverse are these ideologies? What are they?
Well, I think the way the Director-General puts it is that they're issue motivated and they are really coalescing around an anti-authority mentality, whether it be the anti-vaxxers, whether it be people who feel disaffected by the economic environment, whether it be people who are protesting, pro-Palestinian protesters, whether it be people who are protesting those protesters. What the Director-General of Security seems to be saying today is that there are increasing number of people feeling disaffected, and that while the majority are non-violent and simply feeling very strongly about a particular issue, there are a minority in our society who are willing and wanting to take those non-violent protests and make them violent. And that across the full spectrum of issues is why it is so difficult for ASIO. That is not just a single issue. There are a multitude of issues, which makes the job of the security agency more complex.
We're still only at the middle of the scale, as we can see on the screen there. How concerned are the government about foreign actors getting involved in this and planting divisive things within the Australian community?
I think that's one of the big changes from 10 years ago, is the impact of technology means that you don't have to be in Australia to impact Australia. And the impact of disinformation, people who are spreading lies and propaganda online with the specific motivation of causing both social upheaval and division and hoping that a minority of people will turn it into violence. So there's no doubt that technology is playing an amplifying role. These are not new issues. Politically motivated violence is not new, but the range of issues happening all at once, amplified by the use of technology, in particular by people who are overseas, and what we're seeing constantly out of a regime like Russia, does mean that we should be more cognizant of the fact that the key players who are impacting Australia can be anywhere in the world.
Justin, is there a case to be made for more government intervention online in order to stop the spread of extremist ideologies?
I think the current debate in relation to how to regulate social media is a very, very important one. And again, it's across the full spectrum of issues, all the way from bullying of young people, all the way through to the impact of social cohesion and extremism turning into violent extremism. So governments around the world, democratic governments around the world, have a really wicked challenge because ordinarily their instincts are not to intervene and to say, well, we've got free speech in society. The key is that free speech doesn't equate to hurting people and harming people. And so governments are now grappling with the fact that when social media first came on the scene, there was very much a hands-off approach by governments, a view that if governments got involved, it would be a stifle on innovation. But what we've seen is if you don't bake in security and you don't have at least a minimum level of regulation in relation to digital issues, whether it be the internet or social media specifically, it does run the risk of malicious use and we can quickly fall behind. So the question of how to regulate, whether it be algorithms or the difference between free speech and speech that crosses the line online is a vital one.
Justin Bassi, Australian Strategic Policy Institute, thank you very much.
Pleasure.